Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into one of the uh, biggest paradoxes in the NFL right now, the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes, a two-time MVP, maybe the most talented player in the league, and yet the conversation year after year seems to circle back to his protection or, the lack of it.
It's a constant topic of debate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to cut through all that noise, all the fan debate about him holding the ball too long, and actually quantify the pressure. We're going to look at the numbers.
And those numbers tell a pretty clear story.
They do. And they point to a single make-or-break personnel fix that the Chiefs are desperately hoping works this week against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, when you think of an elite team, a championship organization, you expect this sort of structural stability. But the sources show it's more like a high-wire act.
They succeed in spite of the blocking, not because of it.
That's a good way to put it. And we really need to dig into where that structure has failed this season.
All right, let's start there, because the numbers really do paint a picture of a situation that's getting worse, not better.
Right. And you have to start with last season, 2024. That set the baseline because Mahomes was sacked more than he has ever been in his career. That was supposed to be the wake-up call.
It was supposed to be the never-again moment. But look at this season's pace. So far, he's been taken down 17 times.
17, and we're not even halfway through the season.
And that number by itself, it just tells you defenses are getting home way too often.
Well, this is the real aha moment when you project it out. 17 sacks already means he's getting sacked nearly twice a game.
So if that trend holds, he's on track for what?
He is on pace to be sacked 34 times this season.
34 times. After they supposedly invested all offseason to fix this, that would be, a complete failure of execution.
A stunning failure. And it's not just about his health, though that's obviously a huge concern.
No, it changes everything. It changes
Yeah.
the play calling. You can't run your deep, complex routes if you know the pocket is gone in under 3 seconds.
Exactly. And for anyone who says, oh, but he extends plays, let's look at the most recent trend, the last 2 games.
Yeah, the immediate pain points.
The O-line gave up 6 sacks, 3 in each game. That kind of frequency, that's not a quarterback holding the ball too long. That's a breakdown. That's missed assignments, guys losing one-on-ones right at the snap.
That's a critical distinction. It makes the problem feel foundational, not, situational.
It is. Which is why this matchup with the Broncos is so fascinating. It's a complete anomaly.
Right, because on paper, Mahomes absolutely owns them. His record is, 13-1?
13 wins, 1 loss. It should be an easy week at the office.
It should feel like a bye week. But the reality in the trenches is completely different. The numbers show he's been sacked 25 times in 14 career games against Denver.
Just think about that. He dominates a team, a 13-1 record, and he still gets sacked almost twice a game against them. Every time.
So what is it about Denver? How do they consistently generate this pressure, even when they're not a great team overall?
It's their game plan. Their defensive coordinator knows they can't just sit back and play a standard defense. They have to create chaos.
So they blitz more.
It's more than that. They use exotic blitz packages, delayed stunts, edge rushers, and really wide alignments. It's all designed to confuse the Chiefs' protection calls, specifically between the guards and tackles.
So they're trying to create that interior pressure.
Right up the middle, exactly. They
Wow.
know if they can collapse the pocket vertically, Mahomes loses his launch point. He either has to scramble or just eat the sack.
So it's a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. They're willing to sacrifice coverage to create that chaos.
Precisely. And it's a trend that's getting worse. The pressure is escalating.
Mm.
If you just look at the last 3 games against them, 2 in 2023, 1 earlier this season, he was sacked 9 times.
9 sacks in 3 games.
9 times, 5 sacks in 23, 4 more in 24. It just sticks out like a sore thumb.
And that escalating pressure, especially the 6 sacks in the last 2 weeks, brings us to the real story here. This isn't just about scheme anymore. It's about one missing player.
Offensive tackle Josh Simmons.
He's the guy.
He is absolutely the critical factor here. He was their big draft pick, brought in for one reason: stabilize that line and protect the blind side.
So just to be clear for everyone, he's the starting left tackle. Why is that specific spot so hard to replace?
Because it's maybe the second most important position on the offense. You're protecting a right-handed quarterback's blind side against the fastest, most athletic pass rushers in the world. It's a nightmare job.
And Simmons was brought in to be the anchor for that.
He was, and then he had to step away from the team for a bit to handle a personal matter.
So what happened the moment he left? How fast did things break down?
Instantly. The correlation is it's direct and it's alarming. When Simmons was in the game, Mahomes' sack rate was low, it was manageable. The line worked like a single unit.
And without him,
A cascade failure. The guy who stepped in just wasn't the same anchor. So now the guard has to help out, sliding protection to the outside, and that leaves these huge gaps in the middle. One weak link broke the entire chain.
so you're not just losing one player, you're losing the linchpin.
The entire linchpin of the whole scheme, yes.
Which, you have to ask the question then, is this organization truly elite if its whole protection plan is that fragile?
Yeah.
If it all falls apart because one guy is missing, that points to a serious lack of depth.
And that's the big question about their long-term sustainability. It is not a good strategy to rely on one fix to cover up a fundamental weakness. One injury, one absence, and your whole season could be derailed.
Which brings us to this week. Simmons is back. He's returning against the Broncos.
Yep.
And the Chiefs are basically hitting the emergency button, hoping he can instantly reverse this trend of collapsing pockets.
They need him to. They need him to step in and perform immediately because you know Denver is going to bring that chaos. If the sack numbers don't drop dramatically with him on the field,
Then the problem is much deeper.
much, much deeper than just one player.
And, the way the team handled his absence is pretty revealing. We have head coach Andy Reid's comments on it.
Right, and he starts with the human element, emphasizing player well-being, first of all. You have to support the person.
Of course. But then he immediately pivots to the reality of the situation on the field. He uses this very specific language, saying the team doesn't look back. They just giddy up and go on what's there today, and they go 100 miles an hour with that.
And that phrase says everything. 100 miles an hour. You have to maintain that elite execution speed, even if your blindside protector is gone. Imagine the pressure on the backup, knowing he's the reason things are failing.
Yeah, the clock doesn't stop.
Never. Reed is saying execution has to be instantaneous, no matter the circumstances. It really captures that tension, between the person and the player.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with the key takeaways for you as you watch this Chiefs-Broncos game.
The numbers to watch are simple. Mahomes is on a 34-sack pace. That has to change.
And against Denver, expect pressure. The history is clear. 25 career sacks, 9 in just the last 3 meetings.
And the whole story really hinges on one guy. The immediate fix is the return of left tackle Josh Simmons.
If he plays well, the sacks should go down. If they don't.
Then they have a much bigger problem. His return is about restoring confidence and communication for the whole unit.
So this deep dive, it really shows how one player, one single personnel change, can completely shift a team's biggest vulnerability.
It does. And that brings us to the final thought for you to chew on. If we pull the lens back, what does this extreme reliance on Josh Simmons tell you about the real depth of an elite organization? The Chiefs are winning, yes, but this situation exposed a dangerous vulnerability. It really makes you wonder how long you can sustain success by just patching holes with single critical fixes instead of building a truly deep and robust foundation. What happens next time?